I was sipping my morning coffee when the email arrived. The subject line was cold, clinical. Overdue loan repayment notice. My heart didn't race. Not anymore. I've grown too familiar with these ghosts from my past. I placed the cup gently on my glass desk, the sound of porcelain against the surface sharp in the quiet of my office. The city skyline stretched before me through floor-to-ceiling windows, all steel and ambition, mirroring the life I've built. Still, the bitterness in my chest had nothing to do with the coffee. $600,000, a number so absurd it used to choke me. Not because I borrowed it, no, my brother did. He signed my name, sealed my future, and my parents called it helping the family. That phrase still stings, even now. Helping the family, as if sacrifice was written into my skin, as if my signature existed to clean up his messes. I glanced down at my blouse, silk, pale ivory, smooth under my fingers. Years ago, I couldn't afford laundry detergent, let alone silk. But today, this is my armor. My phone buzzes on the desk, the screen lighting up with his name. My brother. I almost laugh. It's been years, yet the universe still knows how to test me. I let it ring twice before answering. My voice steady, my back straight. Hello? And just like that, the past I've worked so hard to bury begins clawing its way back. The first time I heard about the loan, I thought it was some kind of mistake. I was 23, fresh out of college, clutching my first paycheck like it was proof I could finally stand on my own. Then, one night at dinner, my father cleared his throat. My mother's eyes were glued to her plate. My brother, as usual, smirked like the world bent in his favor. "Bank called today," my father said, his tone deliberately casual. "They'll need your cooperation for the repayment plan." I blinked. My cooperation for what? And that's when the words dropped, heavy and merciless. "The 600,000, the loan you signed for." My fork clattered against the plate. "What loan?" Silence. No one met my eyes. My brother picked at his food as if the conversation was boring him. My mother finally whispered, "Beta." It was for the family. For his business. You wouldn't understand. I felt the blood rush to my face, heat prickling behind my eyes. "You used my name? My signature?" My father snapped, his voice sharp. "Enough drama, you're educated, you'll make money. What's family for, if not to help each other?" The room spun. My hands trembled so badly I had to clench them in my lap. Helping the family. Always the family. When my brother wrecked his car, I was the one who worked overtime to help with the repair. When he dropped out of college, I gave up my savings so he could start fresh. And now, $600,000, shackled to my name. That night, I sat alone in my room, staring at the ceiling. The betrayal pressed down on me like a weight I couldn't escape. My parents saw my future as collateral. My brother saw me as a safety net. But somewhere beneath the hurt, a tiny ember flickered. I remembered my grandmother's words, spoken years before she passed. She had pressed a thin silver bracelet into my hand, delicate, engraved with tiny vines. "One day," she said, "you'll learn that strength doesn't mean carrying everyone, it means carrying yourself." I slid the bracelet onto my wrist that night. My hands were still shaking, but my resolve was solidifying. The next morning, I packed a small bag. No announcement, no confrontation, just a note on the kitchen table. "If my name is the only thing you see when you think of survival, then you'll have to survive without me." I walked out with $50 in my wallet, that bracelet on my wrist, and a heart shattered, but determined. The first year away from home nearly broke me. I rented a single room above a laundromat, cracked walls, a leaky ceiling, and a mattress that smelled faintly of detergent and loneliness. Every night I stared at the water stains spreading across the plaster like bruises, wondering if I'd made a mistake. During the day, I worked two jobs: receptionist at a dental clinic by morning, waitress at a dim little diner by night. My hands ached from carrying trays, my feet blistered in cheap shoes, and sometimes I'd catch myself nodding off at the clinic desk, my cheek pressing against the cool laminate counter. But every paycheck, no matter how small, was mine, untouched, unstolen. Proof that I could exist outside their shadow. It was during those long nights at the diner that I met her, Marianne. She was a regular, always sitting at the corner booth with her laptop, nursing black coffee while typing furiously. One evening, she looked up as I refilled her cup and said, "You have good posture for someone who looks so exhausted." I laughed, embarrassed. "That's the only thing I can afford to keep straight these days." Her eyes softened. We began talking, and over weeks, I learned she was the founder of a small but growing design firm. One night, after I shyly admitted I had studied marketing but never found a way in, she leaned forward and said, "Send me your resume. Let's see what you can do." That moment was the first crack of light in my dark little world. Working under Marianne was brutal but transformative. She demanded precision, creativity, resilience. I learned to pitch ideas in boardrooms that smelled of polished wood and money I couldn't yet imagine. I learned to hear no without shrinking. I learned that brilliance wasn't about being the loudest voice in the room, it was about being the most prepared. There were nights I cried into my pillow, whispering that maybe my parents were right. Maybe I wasn't cut out for this. But then I'd touch the bracelet on my wrist, trace the delicate vines, and remember my grandmother's words. Strength means carrying yourself. And slowly, victories came. My first campaign landed a client worth more than I made in a year. Then came a promotion. Then the day Marianne handed me a contract with a smile and said, "Partner, you've earned it." I wanted to scream the news from rooftops, but instead I posted a simple, modest update on social media. "Work is going well." That was all my family ever saw. Because even in success, I feared their pull, the way they would twist it into obligation, into debt, into something I owed them. So I built quietly, brick by brick, until the walls of my independence were too high to be toppled. Years passed. My wardrobe changed from thrift store clearance racks to tailored suits. My address changed from a room above a laundromat to a penthouse with windows that kissed the sky. And yet, not once did I call home to brag. I carried my success like a secret, precious and fragile. Because I knew one day they would come. And when they did, I wanted to be ready. The day they came back into my life, the sky was heavy with rain. I was in my office reviewing the quarterly reports. My company's name, mine, glowed on the cover in embossed silver. I had built this from sleepless nights and coffee-fueled mornings. Every page of that report was proof that the girl who once slept above a laundromat had not only survived, she had conquered. The receptionist's voice crackled through the intercom. "There are 3 people here asking for you. They say they're your family." For a moment, my pen stilled. My chest tightened, not with fear, but with something sharper: anticipation. I told her to send them up. The elevator doors opened, and there they were. My mother's face lined with new worries, my father's shoulders stooped, but still stubborn, and my brother. The same cocky tilt of his chin, though time had dulled the shine in his eyes. They walked in slowly, their gazes darting around my office. The high ceilings, the soft lighting, the abstract art on the walls, the floor-to-ceiling windows revealing the city skyline. Every detail screamed of a life far beyond what they'd imagined for me. My mother's hand fluttered to her chest. My father's jaw tightened. My brother muttered under his breath, "Damn." I didn't speak. I let the silence do its work, the weight of everything they were seeing pressing down on them. The girl they had dismissed, belittled, betrayed. She was sitting behind a mahogany desk worth more than their car. Finally, my mother broke. Beta, this office, this, this life, is it really yours? I leaned back, crossing my legs, my silk blouse whispering against the leather chair. Every inch of it. My brother scoffed. Come on, you? You expect me to believe you built all this? I turned my gaze on him, steady, unblinking. I don't need you to believe it. The proof is all around you. He shifted uncomfortably, but my father cleared his throat. We didn't come here to argue. We need help. Ah, there it was. The bank is pressing harder now, he continued. The loan, your loan, it's suffocating us. We thought, with where you are now, maybe you could step in. For the family? Those words again. The knife they'd used to cut me open all those years ago. Helping the family. I rose from my chair and walked around the desk, my heels clicking softly against the polished floor. I stood in front of them, close enough to see the shame flickering in their eyes. Do you know what it felt like? I said slowly, to realize that $600,000 had been chained to my name without my consent. Do you know what it felt like when you told me to be grateful for it? That it was my duty as a daughter? As a sister? My mother's lips trembled. My father's eyes dropped to the floor. My brother? He looked away, defiant, but his silence betrayed him. I let the moment stretch, my words filling the space. Then I smiled, not cruelly, but with the kind of calm power that comes only after surviving fire. You thought I'd break under the weight of what you did, but I didn't. I built something so strong, so unshakable, that your betrayal became the foundation beneath my feet. I gestured to the office around us. This is mine. Every client, every dollar, every brick. And not one piece of it came from you. The room was silent. My mother's eyes brimmed with tears. My father looked older than I'd ever seen him. And my brother, for the first time in his life, had nothing to say. I returned to my desk, sat down, and folded my hands neatly on the surface. So, I said, voice steady, let's talk about what happens next. I leaned forward, resting my elbows lightly on the desk, and studied their faces. For the first time in years, they weren't looking at me as a daughter, or a sister, or a scapegoat. They were looking at me as the one person standing between them and ruin. Here's the thing, I began softly. I could pay off that loan today, write a single check, and it would disappear like smoke. But if I did that, nothing would change. You'd still expect me to carry the weight of his choices, and I won't do that anymore. My father's brows knit together. But he's your brother. I turned to my brother, my voice firm. Yes, my brother. The same brother who forged my name, the same brother who let me drown while he lived like a king on borrowed money. Tell me, what have you learned since then? His jaw clenched. I was young. No, I cut in. You were selfish. And until you stop hiding behind excuses, I won't lift a finger for you. He looked away, and for once had no comeback. I shifted my gaze to my parents. My mother's eyes shimmered with unshed tears. Beta, we only wanted to keep the family together. I held up a hand, and in doing that, you broke me apart. You made me believe my worth was only in what I could give away. But I've built myself back, piece by piece, and I won't let you take that from me. Silence hung heavy in the room. Then I laid out the terms. To my brother, if you want my help, you'll sign into a rehabilitation program for financial responsibility. No more gambling, no more fake ventures. You'll work under a mentor who will track your progress for 1 year. Fail once, and I cut ties permanently. His face flushed, but he didn't argue. Not this time. To you, Mama, I said gently, though my voice didn't waver. You will stop covering for him. No more secret favors. No more guilt tripping. If you want my support, it will be on the condition that you finally choose truth over comfort. She nodded, tears slipping silently down her cheeks. And Baba, I said, my tone sharper now. You must learn that authority does not excuse betrayal. You taught me discipline, but never accountability. So here's yours. If you want me to step in, you'll agree to counseling. All of you will, because this family will not heal without it. They stared at me, stunned, as if I'd spoken in another language. My father opened his mouth to object, but I raised my hand once more, calmly but firmly. These are my terms. I don't expect you to like them, but they are the only way I'll help. Not as your scapegoat, not as the obedient daughter, as the woman I've become. The air was thick with tension, but beneath it, I felt something shift. The balance of power. For years, I had bent under their weight. Now, they bent under mine. I leaned back in my chair, my voice final. The choice is yours. The weeks that followed surprised me more than the confrontation itself. For the first time, my brother didn't vanish into denial. He enrolled in the financial rehab program, his cocky swagger replaced by something almost foreign, humility. I'd receive updates from his mentor. Late-night struggles, near relapses, but also small victories. He was learning to say no to himself, to stand without leaning on me. My parents, they wavered at first. Old habits cling like vines. My mother would call, her voice trembling, tempted to defend him. But then she'd pause, catch herself, and whisper instead, "You were right, Beta. I see it now." And my father, the man who once demanded my silence, sat through counseling sessions, his pride cracked open. It wasn't a miracle transformation, but it was a beginning. And for the first time, their choices felt like their own, not mine to shoulder. One evening, I sat by the window of my penthouse, watching the city lights pulse like stars scattered across the earth. My bracelet, my grandmother's bracelet, gleamed in the lamplight. I traced the vines with my fingertips, the cool silver grounding me. Her words echoed back, clear as ever. Strength doesn't mean carrying everyone. It means carrying yourself. I thought about the girl who once cried into a thin pillow above a laundromat, the girl who left everything behind with only $50 and this bracelet. I thought about how far she'd carried herself, through betrayal, through loneliness, through doubt, all the way here. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel anger when I thought of my family. I felt clarity. Yes, they had betrayed me. Yes, they had broken my trust. But I had rebuilt myself from that rubble. And now, standing tall, I had the power to choose how their story intertwined with mine. On my terms, not theirs. I slipped the bracelet back onto my wrist, the vines curling like roots around my skin. A reminder of where I'd come from and the strength it took to grow beyond it. As the city hummed beneath me, I whispered into the quiet, more to myself than anyone else. I am not the debt you chained me with. I am the woman who turned it into freedom. And with that, I smiled. Because finally, the story was mine.